Hey everyone, picture this. It's a quiet afternoon in a small town, the kind where kids ride bikes down the street and neighbors wave hello. A young girl is walking home, her phone in hand, live streaming her day to her followers with a big smile. She's just chatting about her school day, laughing about a funny moment with her friends when suddenly, out of nowhere, a police officer pulls up, gun drawn, and points it right at her. Her smile fades, her voice trembles, and the live stream captures every second of this terrifying moment. What if I told you this wasn't some random mistake? It was racial profiling at its worst, and the cop's actions were about to come back to haunt him in a way he never imagined. Welcome to today's story. Racist police pointed a gun at a girl who was live streaming. He got bad karma immediately, and black teen gives seat to pregnant white woman. She hands him a life-changing note. This is a roller coaster of tension and hope, where injustice meets its match, and a simple act of kindness turns into something unforgettable. Stick with me, because these stories are about to take you on a wild ride. Let's start with that heart-stopping moment. It's May 18th, 2025, 8:41 a.m. PKT, and we're in Oakwood, a sleepy town in Georgia where life usually moves slow. Mia Jackson, a 16-year-old black girl with a bright personality, is walking down the sidewalk. She's got her phone up, live streaming, to her 5,000 followers on a platform she's built from scratch. Mia loves sharing her life, her love for music, her dreams of becoming a journalist, the little joys of her day. Today she's talking about a school project, her voice full of energy as she waves at the camera. She's dressed in her favorite hoodie and jeans, her backpack slung over one shoulder, totally unaware that her world is about to turn upside down. That's when Officer Ryan Caldwell, a 12-year veteran of the Oakwood Police Department, spots her. Caldwell's got a reputation. Whispers around town say he's quick to judge, especially when it comes to people who don't fit his idea of normal. He's been warned about his temper before, but nothing's ever stuck. Seeing Mia with her phone, he assumes the worst. Maybe she's up to no good. Maybe she's a threat. Without a second thought, he pulls his squad car over, jumps out, and draws his gun, pointing it straight at her. Mia freezes, her phone shaking in her hand. As the live stream picks up her panicked voice, "Oh my God, he's got a gun! Help!" she cries, her eyes wide with fear. People watching online start flooding the chat with messages, some shocked, some angry, some begging her to stay safe. Caldwell yells at her to drop the phone, his voice harsh as he steps closer. "What are you doing? You think you can film me?" he snaps, his finger on the trigger. Mia's heart pounds, but she manages to say, "I'm just live streaming, sir. I'm not doing anything wrong." She keeps the camera rolling, knowing her followers are her witnesses. Caldwell doesn't back down. He orders her to the ground, his tone dripping with suspicion, and the tension builds as Mia complies, tears streaming down her face. But here's where it gets wild. Right as he's about to cuff her, his radio crackles with an urgent call. A real emergency's happening. Blocks away, and he's needed immediately. He lowers his gun, muttering under his breath, and speeds off, leaving Mia shaken but unharmed. The live stream keeps rolling and the internet explodes. What he doesn't know is that his actions are about to catch up with him, and the karma's coming fast. Now let's shift to a different kind of story, one that warms the heart instead of breaking it. It's the same day, a few hours later, in Atlanta, Georgia. The city bus is packed, the air thick with the hum of conversation and the heat of the afternoon sun. Jaden Carter, a 17-year-old black teen, is sitting near the back, his earbuds, and scrolling through his phone. Jaden's a good kid. Quiet, thoughtful, the kind who helps his mom with groceries and dreams of being a doctor someday. His family doesn't have much, and he works part-time at a local store to pitch in. But he's got a big heart that shines through. He's on his way home from school, his backpack heavy with books, lost in his thoughts about college applications. The bus stops, and a pregnant white woman steps on, her hands resting on her belly as she looks for a seat. Her name's Emily Harper, a 30-year-old elementary school teacher, 7 months along and exhausted from a long day. Her feet ache, and there's a quiet vulnerability in her eyes as she scans the crowded bus. No one moves to offer her a spot. Maybe they don't notice. Maybe they're too caught up in their own worlds. But Jaden does. He catches her eye, sees the tiredness in her face, and stands up without hesitation. "Ma'am, you can have my seat," he says, his voice gentle but clear. Emily looks at him surprised, and a small smile breaks through her fatigue. "Thank you so much," she says, her voice warm as she settles into the seat. Jaden nods, holding onto the railing as the bus lurches forward, happy to stand for the rest of the ride. It's a small act, the kind that doesn't seem like much in the moment, but it sticks with Emily. As the bus nears her stop, she pulls a small note from her bag and scribbles something on it. She stands, steadying herself, and hands it to Jaden. "Don't read it until you get home," she says with a mysterious smile, then steps off into the crowd. Jaden tucks the note into his pocket, his curiosity growing. What could it be? Thank you? A phone number? He spends the ride wondering, his mind racing with possibilities. Back in Oakwood, Mia's livestream has gone viral. Thousands of people have seen the officer point a gun at her, and the outrage is spreading fast. She's safe now, sitting at home with her mom, replaying the footage with trembling hands. Comments are pouring in. People calling for justice, demanding Caldwell be held accountable. Mia's not sure what to do next, but she knows this isn't the end. Meanwhile, Caldwell's back at the station, oblivious to the storm brewing. He thinks he got away with it, that Mia was just another kid he could scare into silence. But the internet doesn't forget, and the police department's phone is already ringing off the hook. Word's getting out about his history. Past complaints, ignored warnings, and the pressure's building. What he doesn't know is that someone's dug up an old video, one that shows him in a similar situation years ago, and it's about to blow the lid off everything. And what about Jaden? He gets home, drops his backpack by the door, and pulls out the note from Emily. His hands shake as he unfolds it, his eyes scanning the words. Whatever's written there, it's big, life-changing big. His breath catches, and he sits down hard, on the couch, staring at the paper. But what does it say? How could a simple act of kindness lead to a moment that turns his world upside down? And in Oakwood, what will happen when Caldwell faces the consequences of his actions? The karma's coming, and Mia's story is far from over. Stick around for the next part, because these twists are just the beginning, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to see how it all unfolds. As Jaden sat on his couch in Atlanta, the crumpled note from Emily still in his hand, his mind raced with questions. The words on the paper were so unexpected, so big, that he couldn't quite process them yet. He glanced out the window, the afternoon sun filtering through the blinds, casting long shadows across the small living room of his family's apartment. Jaden lived with his mom, Letitia, and his younger sister, Aaliyah, in a modest two-bedroom place that always smelled faintly of the lavender candles his mom loved. Money was tight. Letitia worked double shifts as a nurse to keep the bills paid, and Jaden's part-time job at the corner store helped cover school supplies and the occasional treat for Aaliyah. But despite the struggle, they were a close-knit family, the kind that laughed together over late-night Uno games and supported each other's dreams. Jaden had always been the responsible one, the kid who studied hard and stayed out of trouble, even when the neighborhood around him made that tough. His dream of becoming a doctor wasn't just a pipe dream. It was a promise he'd made to his mom after his dad passed away from a heart attack 5 years ago. A promise to make sure no other family felt that kind of helpless pain. But now that note in his hand felt like it could change everything. He read it again, his heart pounding, but he wasn't ready to share it with anyone, not yet. What if it was too good to be true? What if Emily's words were just a kind gesture, with no real weight behind them? He folded the note and slipped it into his pocket, deciding to keep it to himself until he could figure out what to do next. Meanwhile, across the state in Oakwood, Mia Jackson was still reeling from her encounter with Officer Caldwell. She sat at the kitchen table in her family's small house, her mom, Keisha, hovering nearby with a mug of chamomile tea. The live stream video was paused on her laptop, frozen on the moment Caldwell had pointed his gun at her, his face twisted with anger. Keisha's eyes were red from crying, her voice trembling as she spoke. "I told you, Mia, you gotta be careful out there. I know you love your live streams, but this world, it ain't safe for us." Mia nodded, her throat tight, but there was a fire in her eyes that hadn't been there before. She'd always been a dreamer, the kind of girl who saw the world through a lens of hope, even growing up in a town where she'd faced her share of side eyes and whispered comments. Mia had started live streaming a year ago, at first just to share her love for music. She played the violin, and her followers adored her covers of everything from classical pieces to pop hits. But over time, her streams became a space to talk about her life, her dreams of being a journalist, and the challenges she faced as a black girl in a town like Oakwood. She'd never imagined her platform would capture something like this, a moment of raw injustice that thousands of people were now watching, sharing, and talking about. The comments on the video were still pouring in, a mix of support and outrage. "This cop needs to be fired," one wrote. "Mia, you're so brave," said another. But there were uglier comments too, the kind that made her stomach turn. People defending Caldwell, saying she must have done something to deserve it. Keisha reached over and squeezed her hand. "We're gonna fight this, baby. We're not letting him get away with it." Mia nodded, but she couldn't shake the fear that lingered, the memory of that gun pointed at her, the way her voice had cracked as she begged for help. Back in Atlanta, Jaden's phone buzzed, pulling him out of his thoughts. It was a text from his best friend, Malik, who'd been on the bus with him earlier. "Yo, you good? That lady seemed kinda intense with that note. What did it say?" Jaden hesitated, his fingers hovering over the screen. He wanted to tell Malik. He told him everything, but something held him back. Emily's words felt too big, too personal, like a secret he needed to protect until he understood what they meant. "I'll tell you later," he texted back, adding a shrug emoji to keep it light. But inside, his mind was spinning. Emily Harper wasn't just any pregnant woman on a bus. She'd mentioned in passing that she was a teacher, but there was something about the way she carried herself, the quiet confidence in her voice that made Jaden think there was more to her story. What if she was someone important? What if the note was a scam or a test or something he couldn't even imagine? He thought back to her smile as she'd handed it to him, the way her eyes had seemed to hold a deeper meaning. "Don't read until you get home," she'd said. And now that he had, he couldn't stop wondering what her next move might be. Did she expect him to reach out? Was there more to this than just a thank you? The uncertainty gnawed at him. But so did the hope. What if this was the break he'd been waiting for? The kind of chance that could help him and his family get out of the struggle. In Oakwood, the storm around Officer Caldwell was growing. At the police station, the chief, a stern woman named Linda Hayes, was fielding calls from reporters, activists, and even the mayor's office. The livestream video had spread like wildfire, racking up over 1 million views in just a few hours. Clips were being shared on X, with hashtags like #Justice for Mia and #End Racial Profiling trending across the country. Chief Hayes watched the footage on her computer, her jaw tight as she saw Caldwell draw his gun on Mia. She'd known Caldwell was a problem for years. There'd been complaints before, stories of him targeting black and brown kids in the community. But the department had always found a way to protect its own. Now, though, there was no hiding. The video was too clear, the public outcry too loud. Hayes picked up the phone and called Caldwell into her office, her voice sharp as she told him to get there immediately. Caldwell, still in his uniform, walked, and with his usual swagger. But there was a flicker of unease in his eyes. He'd seen the video online by now, had read some of the comments calling for his badge. "What's this about, Chief?" he asked, trying to keep his tone casual. Hayes